Welcome back to the Cult of Belial. I'm Paolo. I'm joined again by Anton. Anton, how are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm great. It's still Saturday night. We recorded a video right before this. It's really funny to do an intro again for me for some reason. We're doing questions and answers number 2. Okay. I know when I made this post, there were some good questions that came up here, and I'm really excited to answer them with you guys. Okay, Anton, are you ready to answer some questions?
I am very ready.
All right, first question from Raphael. What are some books worth reading? Here are my suggestions. Here are my favorite books, and these are books that I keep going back to. Okay, the 3 Franz Bardon books. Okay, Initiation into Hermetics, The Practice of Magical Evocation, and The Key to the True Kabbalah. Those 3 books have so much information and actual practices in them that as you learn how to do these things, you will keep going back to them. As you learn about what he's discussing in the book, you will understand how to do these practices in a more efficient manner. I really wanted, so in his first book, when I'm teaching people how to do rituals and stuff, or do energy work, or interact in the astral, there are, I think, 3 exercises in the first book. There's the first exercise that you do. It's thought control, thought observation, and void thought exercises. Okay, those 3 things, when you learn how to discipline and control your thoughts, it takes you so much farther in the game than anything I've come across in any book. Other authors that I really like, that I keep going back to. Rudolf Steiner. He has probably like 50 books, dude. And he talks about esoteric topics. You know, he talks about accessing higher planes just through meditation. He talks about the importance of strengthening your imagination. You know, what the relationship between Ahriman and Lucifer. That book was one of my absolute favorites, and all these you can listen to in an audiobook format on YouTube for free. Another author I really like, Manly P. Hall. He talks about he talks about esoteric stuff. Now, I'm under the impression that a lot of the stuff that he talks about, and a lot of his lectures, and a lot of his books, are derived from Freemasonry. I can't say for certain because I'm not a Freemason, and I have no say or no knowledge on anything related to Freemasonry. Anton, what are some books that are worth reading to you?
When I first started reading books about the occult, I got into Michael W. Ford quite a bit. A lot of his stuff I enjoy, especially the book of Akaharu, Vampire Magic. That one's very excellent. But pretty much all of his books are very well-rounded in helping people break dogmatic chains. People who are especially coming out of religion, Christianity, Catholic, etc. It really helps people get a different perspective and understand things beyond their current beliefs.
Hell yeah, dude. Another thing too, and this is not related to anything occult related, but any fantasy book, you know, this might sound weird, but when you're reading fantasy books and you're put into that world, you're strengthening your ability to imagine, okay, your ability to visualize, your ability to structure, and that goes a long way when you're, even when you're just doing things like evocation, dude. When you're trying to get a spirit there in front of you, and you get them, you have to give them a body, first of all. And when your imagination is strong like that, it happens very, very strongly. You know, when you give them a body and then they're like a lightning strike, dude, take control of that body. It is such a fucking cool thing. I hope everybody gets to experience that.
It's definitely a fun experience.
Yeah, it is. You know, little side note. There's one time where I evoked Mammon, right? And I wasn't structuring a specific body for him to show up in. I was just fucking, doing the end chant and fucking opening my third eye. And when I saw him, dude, like it was not like anything I imagined, like that I could imagine. He was, first of all, he was shorter than I would have expected. He had big eyes. I don't know why demons usually have big eyes for me. And he was wearing white and gold. And he had a fucking crown on. And I was like, that's cool, dude. That's fucking cool. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to fucking get off topic. Yeah, so Raphael did ask if there's any books on necromancy. I think you touched on that earlier, about Michael W. Ford, right?
That was vampire magic. I haven't read many books about necromancy. So I wouldn't have any suggestions. But another great author that I do suggest is S. Connolly. She's her books are very good at teaching you the basics of demonolatry, how to summon, how to work with the spirits, understanding the relationship between the person and the spirits, etc.
Yeah, I will have to get back to you on books on necromancy. Maybe in the next Q&A, I'll find some books on necromancy that I like, and then I'll share. Okay. Next question. Sarah asks, I want to hear the origin story. This is going to be a good one. I want to hear the origin story of the Cult of Belial, maybe individuals' experience on how it's helped them personally on their journey, and things they wish they knew when they first began on the left path. Okay, so it's going to be a few parts to this question. Origin story for the Cult of Belial. Anton, you got to start this out.
Oh, it's pretty funny.
I know.
I was in another group, and I just woke up one day, opened my phone. The first post on Facebook is someone saying, I want to start a cult for Belial. Okay, cool, we'll do it. And just organized it, and here we are.
Yeah.
Just woke up and was like, yep, we're doing this.
And it's grown to such a degree, it's impressive, honestly. I'll say my origin story for the Cult of Belial. I literally, I think I've shared this before, okay? But there was I was practicing, right? I was going to forums like Become a Living God and stuff like that, demonology practices, just really fucking exploring this, And I remember I was working with Belial, and he had given me a sigil, okay? And I shared it to the group recently. This is like one of the first sigils that I channeled. And it was Gateway to the Void. And I got it, and I didn't understand anything about a void, okay? And the way that he explained this, what Belial explained to me, he's like, you need to use this to create sacred spaces. And I was like, I don't know what a sacred space is. And I was looking for answers, dude. And I think I fucking looked up Belial on Facebook. And I fucking found the Cult of Belial. And I was like, well, this is cool. And I fucking joined the group. And I start to see, Anton's posts. I start to see what kind of stuff everybody was sharing. And it was very different from like most online spaces. I was like, these people know what the fuck they're doing, which is rare, And, I just started sharing shit that I liked in the group, just like recipes that I channeled, consecration recipes. I started talking to some of the people in there, like Anton, and eventually Anton asked me to be admin, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, I'll be admin." So I feel like at least a little bit Belial like sort of tricked me into fucking coming here. I mean, would you disagree?
I would not disagree.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it at all. Like, fucking, this is awesome, But never in a million fucking years could I imagine that my practice would lead here. You know what I mean? I didn't think I have any capability to fucking speak to people. I don't consider myself any kind of leader. I'm in my head still. I still feel like I'm learning. You know, I'm right with the with everybody else here. You know. Second part of this question, how it's helped them, individuals' experience and how it's helped them personally on their journey. I think just having, so for me personally, I think just having a space to be open about your experiences and, you know, ask questions, you know, and be able to trust the answers that you get. You know, that is one of the big selling points for me, you know, because if you go to like if you go to blog forums, there's a lot of fucking just loonies on there. I don't mean to fucking bash people, but like if you have an open-ended forum, there's gonna be some people who are like, I'm God, and this is what I do, you know? And unfortunately, like in other groups on Facebook, like the really big ones with like 50,000 people, there are people like that. And it's, you don't see a lot of that here, you know? I think when I first came to this group, that was another thing where I was like, you know, the admins were really good about like filtering a bunch of shit. A lot of trolls don't get in. You know, in some of the other groups, you get fucking the Bible thumpers going in there and be like, you guys are going to hell. You know, like you need to repent and pray to Jesus. Ask Jesus to come inside you. You know, yeah, I think the ability to just be open in a group setting has helped me out personally, and just like I really just like sharing channeled messages that I get. You know, I like reading about other people's experiences. I like doing all that stuff. You know.
Yeah. For me personally, um, it's helped me with just interacting with other occultists and sharing experiences, just those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's helped me with even the way I talk, the way I speak, the way I present myself, just generally being confident in voicing um, things that I am given, things that I know, things that I want to share. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. And the last part of the question: what are some things you wish you knew when you first began on a left-hand path? What do you say, Anton? What are some things you wish you knew?
Ooh, big question.
No.
I can't think of that off the top of my head. That's yeah. It's how much it changes you is destroyed through it in terms of alchemical processes, parts of yourself that will be laid to ash, things or people in your life that will be no more in order for your personal growth. A lot of people don't understand that that's a really big part of this, and that's before things get better through this, they're going to get a lot worse. It's a very chaotic thing sometimes, and yeah, not to undermine that. I wish I sort of looked into that a bit more before I got into this. No regrets, but just
Right.
a shock, as a beginner, I suppose, that I went in the deep end.
Yeah. I would say one thing I wish that I knew was how do I word this? I know what I want to say, but I don't know how to verbalize it. I wish I knew that a lot of experiences were going to be internal. You know, does that make sense? Like, you know, when you fucking like when you're watching movies and stuff like that, when you're reading books on it and you're all that kind of those kinds of things, the impression is that it's like this something that happens in the same material world that we experience all the time, you know? And for a majority of the time, I don't experience things on the material level, you know? It is much more of an internal visionary experience. It is much more of a something that I feel and something that I can, you know, process within my mind, you know, especially with like path workings and stuff. I said in one of my videos that I did that, you know, when I'm really deep into like a path working, it feels like I'm there. That's true, but like on some level, I know that this is a visionary experience, you know. And I think if I understood that when I started, a lot of the fear that I had in dealing with, you know, entities like, I don't know, Lucifer, Satan, stuff like that, would be eliminated, you know. And nowadays, like, there's not much that scares me in terms of like, you know, entities. You know, they are just entities at the end of the day. They're not big and scary. You know, they can be intimidating, sure, but it's not something that I fear. And to some degree too, like I almost look forward to how fucking spooked I can get. You know, I really like you know, when people are telling me about like going to fucking haunted places and stuff like that. I'm like, I want to see what I can feel. Or if somebody died somewhere, I'm like, I want to see what happened here. What can I discern? You know, stuff like that. I think I rambled a little bit there. Anyways, I hope that answered your question, Sarah. All right, next question. I don't know how to say this name. It's Livsy. I'm gonna say Lizzie. Have you ever had spirits steal objects from you or for you? And she's having some poltergeist activity on them every once in a while, and I see it, nothing to be worried about. But spirits are messing around with me. I love this question because yes, I've had fucking spirits steal shit from me. I know one of the first times I was trying to work with King Paimon, actually. I had a pink quartz on the apartment I lived in. I had a nightstand right next to me. And, you know, wake up, go to work, come back to work. Instead of it being on the nightstand, it was in the coffee table. It was on the coffee table in the living room. And it was like, it was placed to where, like, that's where, like, for sure they wanted me to see it move. You know, stuff like that happens. I've had fucking, when I'm taking showers, I've had entities flick the lights off, turn them back on. I've had them fucking knock on doors. I've been sitting here gaming and had my door open on me. I've come out of the shower with my refrigerator door open. That's just something that they do. And I think everybody here knows at this point, when we try to do live streams on Facebook, entities will mess with us. You know, like, it's something that happens to us quite a bit.
Definitely, 100%. In terms of things being stolen, yes, definitely. Expensive things sometimes as well, like a retainer. It's usually small things for me though. Boxing headgear, never ever to be found again. Even when moving house, it just never showed up. The void just claimed it at that point. Not just my stuff, but other people's things that I'll be around. Like their phone will go missing, and then all of a sudden, a few days later, it'll appear right where they left it, but it wasn't there for days.
I have one more really great example. So as a joke, I put one of my friends' name, and I put their name, Soul, in a little tiny jar because I used to joke around with them. I was like, you keep messing around with me, you're going in a jar. It's getting smaller by the minute, right? And the girl I was dating at the time, I gave this jar to her because it was one of her friends. And time goes on. One of a different friend ends up telling me, he goes, "Hey, do you want this jar?" And I was like, "What do you mean? How do you have it?" And he goes, "I don't know. I woke up one day and it was in my house." And he gave it back to me. And so somehow it came full circle back to me after giving it away.
Damn.
I swear to God, that's as ludicrous as that sounds, dude. That is what happened, and I can't explain it. I cannot explain it for the life of me. You know, I think, I joke around to this day. I'm like, their soul just knows it belongs to me. You know.
Damn. Yeah, that's something else, man. Yeah.
I know. I really wanted to grab it and show you just how fucking comically small this jar is, and I found a smaller one. I was going to transfer it into just because I'm fucking ridiculous. All right. If you are wondering how to prevent that from happening, you can set up wards. Wards will keep things at least in your space, especially like solar wards, because things like, one thing to note about solar energies is solar energies destroy most etheric patterns. Okay, and what that means is, so like when you're charging and concentrating or consecrating objects, they tell you to, like, hey, whatever you make, keep it away from the sunlight. That's because over time it will deteriorate all the energy that you put into whatever it was you were working on. Okay, it's the same thing when you're working with wards. Okay, it will destroy anything that tries to come into your space and mess with you. More often than not, like if you're working with or if you're encountering things at nighttime, when the sun isn't in the sky, that's when things become more active. It's because they're not, in danger of having things happen. Now, of course, there are solar entities that reside in that sphere that have no problem, but they aren't going to be, trickster spirits or anything of that nature that mess with you. Okay. I would recommend that. You can do banishments and you can set boundaries with spirits that are local to you. Draw a line in the sand. This is my space. These are my things. Do not touch.
Yeah, Faye won't care. The Faye won't care.
I know Faye won't care, but also another thing about Faye, if you have iron powder, okay, iron powder, if you encounter Faye, will kill it if you throw it at them. I don't know if you knew that, but
no, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. So it's also like so like if you get just wrought iron, something like a rod, you can use a knife or a dagger, and if you fucking trace circles around it, you can banish Fae with that. You can make stabbing motions at them. That will get them to go away. Hopefully, nobody has to deal with that because Fae, believe it or not, can be pretty nasty entities to interact with. Not all the time. It's the way that I explain this is like this infinitely cosmic, powerful thing with the attitude and mind of a toddler. That's what Fae are. They like messing with things. Anyways, I hope that answered your question. Thank you for asking. Sonny asks, do you ever listen to certain music during spells and rituals, and do you think it enhances the energy? If so, what do you listen to? Fucking heavy metal. Heavy metal is what I listen to. What about you, Anton? Have you played music for rituals?
Depends on the working. If I'm doing something to break someone up, I'll listen to a lot of songs that are based around that sort of stuff, like sad breakup music, rap songs about relationships, that sort of stuff. If I'm doing a curse, heavy metal, some Eminem, stuff like that. But it's more just to hype me up kind of thing, just to get me sort of going a little bit. Music sort of amplifies the mood I'm already in, and it allows me to sort of flow that emotion out a bit more. So that's what I use it for.
Yeah, I would say that that's the same way that I use music. I mostly listen to rock, heavy metal, death metal, anyways. And for me, you know what a song, like when you're really feeling a song and you get that feeling in your gut and you just like you want to go mosh, you know, you can use that energy and channel it into your workings. You know, it is a good idea to have that the song playing correspond to the working that you're doing. It doesn't have to be, but it's recommended if you don't know how to change that emotion that it brings up into what it is that you're working. Like you don't want to have to be listening to a song about you know, like you don't want to be listening to death metal songs while doing the love working. You know, like probably not the greatest idea in the world. Not saying it can't be done, but I'm just saying some of the death metal that I listen to is just I wouldn't do it. All right. Sunny also asked, this is her. Oh, I guess, hang on. She asked, who do I listen to? I would say Behemoth. Hang on. We're going to open my Spotify real quick. I'm going to share with you my fucking songs that I like listening to. I know Slipknot's on it, Slayer, Soundgarden's really good. Audio Slave. There's some Audio Slave songs I've listened to for like lust stuff. Really fucking good. Like I said, Slayer, Bloodbath, Sepultura, Testament, Cannibal Corpse, shit like that. I fucking love metal, if you guys couldn't already tell. Anyways, somebody also asked, have you ever gotten afraid and scared in a situation where you were not so skilled and an entity did something outrageous and maybe things happened that you had no control over? What did you do in that situation? And can you get scared now? Or have you both adjusted and do you always know exactly how to handle a situation if it gets out of hand? She says, to be honest, I would need the number for the emergency hotline for demon practitioners as fast as that girl's head would spin in The Exorcist. Haha, funny. So, Anton, have you ever gotten afraid and scared in a situation where you were not so skilled? So I guess if you were experimenting with a practice you weren't versed in, and the entity do something outrageous and something happened you had no control over. And if that's happened to you, what did you do in that situation?
Not that I can recall. Like nothing that has really tried to like harm me or like really fuck my life up. Like anything that's been destructive and out of my control has been sort of to destroy obstacles or aspects. That's what happens when you work with an entity like Abaddon. But there's never fear, and there's no intention to try and harm me. I've not had that sort of situation happen before. I have had spirit sent to me to attack me, but like there's no fear and nothing's gone out of control. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for myself, the only thing that comes to mind when I first started doing this, Lucifer, I started working with Lucifer, and it was like the third night, I had sleep paralysis, and in that paralyzed state, when I opened my eyes, I saw a face staring at me from the edge of my bed, like right here, and it was really spooky, right? But I was still fresh enough to this that I wasn't sure if it was just something that my mind made up You know, because like when you read about sleep paralysis, they're like, you know, your mind creates things that aren't really there. So in Ritual, when I invoked Lucifer, I was like, hey, was this something that my mind created, or was this something real? And what happened was something I did not expect. Lucifer got very, very angry with me. And I didn't understand why, right? And when an entity gets angry with you, it feels like you can fucking burn up at any second, you know? And I just had explained to him, or had explained to me that, you know, things, you know, you're in this world now, the things that you're experiencing, whether it be from your mind or not, are real. You know, like don't write stuff like that off. And then talking to Azazel after that, he was like, this fucking thing has no power over you. You could literally fucking enslave it if you wanted to. I was like, okay, good to know. That's the only thing that really comes to my mind, right? I've never had like any other like entity really do shit like that, you know, or at least act in a way that I didn't know how to handle, you know. Do we get scared now? I don't think I get scared now. I don't think. I think there was anxiety during like my first couple of rituals, but then like it was really exciting for me. So I guess I would say that I'm well adjusted. Um, would you say you always know how to handle a situation when if it gets out of hand?
Define getting out of hand. Like, that's a very broad question.
I know. I'm gonna throw an example out there, and I hope this sort of resonates with the question. Okay, let's say you're in a fucking graveyard, and the guardian of the graveyard gets pissed off with you. You know, would you know? How would you handle that situation if it got out of hand? You know, like would you know intuitively? I think one of the biggest things for any situation is to remain calm.
Yeah, definitely. Remain calm. Have a look at what cards you hold. You know, you probably work with a spirit that could take care of it easily.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they probably not want anything in return. They don't always want stuff in return. But yeah, it's the first step would be to remain calm. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Okie dokie. Last question. Ivor asks, is there like a dummy's guide to crossing the qliphoth, or could such information be added in the upcoming book? I think the only thing that we have in the book about the qliphoth, I think I channeled a ritual. That's like a middle pillar ritual, but with the spheres of the qliphoth. I would. The only book that comes to mind really is like Asenath Mason's book on the qliphoth, and I think I thumbed through that ritual, or not that ritual, that book, not even all the way through it, dude. But I think she's got a fucking qliphoth middle pillar ritual too, and I didn't know that before I channeled it. So I would recommend her book. She's got good information on at least the what each sphere corresponds to and what invoking those spheres will, how it will interact with you in the physical world and in the spiritual world. I can't think of any other books off the top of my head. However, there are tons of books about the Sephiroth. There's a ton of YouTube channels about the Sephiroth, and the qliphoth, each sphere corresponds to one of the Sephiroth. Okay, and it's just like the reflection of it, the shadow of it. You know, so if you understand what's going on with the Sephiroth, you'll understand the reverse side of the tree. Which, you know, speaking of which, that's what that is right there. I think Michael W. Ford also has a book on the qliphoth, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he does. It's something called the shells, the qliphoth, something along those lines. But that information is definitely in multiple books as well. Um, but the qliphoth or the qliphoth, however one likes to pronounce it, yeah, there's not too much that can be read that will give you as much as going through the spheres yourself and initiating through them. Yes, you can get initiations from books, but it's not always necessary. Just understanding which one to go to and the order of them, and just a basic grasp of the whole system in general is always a good idea for these books. But I personally haven't looked in any books on the topic.
Yeah. Also, one thing, like if you can't find any books or you don't know where to start with the qliphoth, some pretty good information that's already out there that you find online is the ruler of that sphere. And if you invoke that spirit and ask to be initiated into their sphere, that will work. Another thing too is when you're dealing with either sides of the tree, the experiences are going to vary from person to person, just because as individuals, we are individuals. We're going to experience different things in those spheres. They're going to be somewhat related from person to person, but it's not something that I can exactly hold somebody's hand through and get them through that sphere. That's one of those things, like, you got to work through it. I would recommend or doing something like that. I know for me personally too, I jumped around from sphere to sphere when I was going through the qliphoth, and I don't think I've read hardly anything besides Asenath Mason's book, and that was after I'd already fucking done it, because I wanted to do it again. Yeah. All right. I think that is all the questions for this Q&A.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will make another post for a third Q&A after this video is posted. Again, if you guys aren't in the Facebook group for the Cult of Belial and you want to post some questions you'd like to have us answered, please, the link will be in the description. You can join the group. Just say, hey, you found us from YouTube, and we'll find the post, your question. Again, thank you all for watching. Wow, I can't speak. Tune in next time.